Welcome to the Miami Sports Vibes YouTube channel, talking about the Miami Dolphins winning their second game in a row, beating the Las Vegas Raiders at home. Listen, I am excited. A 2-game winning streak. The Dolphins finally put together an all-around great team win, something that we have not seen all year, something that Dolphin fans have been banging on the table for, just dying to see it. When are we going to see this offense start to get in a groove? When are we going to see this defense start to get, turnovers? When is the defense going to start to do something good and the offense, right? Usually for majority of the season, you either see great defense, bad offense, or great offense and bad defense. It's very rare that the Miami Dolphins have been able to put a good brand of football on all three facets. Today, 0 punts, ladies and gentlemen. 0 punts. The offense absolutely were like clicking on all cylinders, man. Was it like the season prior to this where you're seeing, big explosive plays downfield, 50-yard, 60-yard bombs to Tyreek Hill? No, but you saw it in a different way, which I thought was even more impressive to see. I mean, the way Tua was just manipulating the game, man, it was just high IQ level football and high IQ level offense from Tua. I thought he played a phenomenal game today, man. He was just absolutely taking what the defense gives. Obviously, they were playing with safeties back, eliminated the deep ball for Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. But Tua absolutely was able to show his pocket presence, his timing, his accuracy, and all of those skills that he has. And it was great, man. I mean, you saw Achane get going in the running game as well, also catching out of the backfield. You saw Jonnu Smith have a freaking big game. Absolutely love what Jonnu Smith has been able to do the past couple of weeks with Tua. Tyreek Hill getting involved. Some key third downs to Tyreek Hill, even though he's dealing with that injury with his wrist, still able to make plays. You saw Jalen Waddle get active out there a little bit. I'd like to see more from Waddle, but still, I thought he was active. And there's just so many things that, honestly, I was impressed by. And like I mentioned, I mean, Tua just taking what the defense was giving him was absolutely key. I mean, throwing outside the numbers, just doing so many little things, just building good habits, I think, that could go a long way. And with that being said, the time of possession was awesome. I mean, the Dolphins were dominating time of possession on the offensive end, and I think that is a recipe to beat teams in the later half of the season, to beat good teams, to beat the teams you're playing in the playoffs if you do make the playoffs. How do you win? We talk about here on my show, I always talk about time of possession matters. Man, managing the clock to your advantage. Time of possession absolutely goes a long way. So the Dolphins were putting up together these long drives, ending in touchdowns, ending in field goals, ending in scores. And that's very key, man. If you could just drain the clock while also moving the football and not punting the ball, that's a recipe. That's a recipe. Now, I get it. I know we're playing a Las Vegas Raiders team, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have to be happy. You got to take the wins as they come. I mean, this is a team that we've lost to the Indianapolis Colts. We've lost to other bad teams that it's already erased from my memory, the Tennessee Titans, and so be it, but the Seattle Seahawks. But at the end of the day, like, you have to build good habits. And I think that's what the Dolphins were able to do. Not only were they able to stack wins or here with these 2 wins in a row, you're taking advantage of who's in front of you. You cannot control that. But at the same time, you're building habits that are ultimately going to become key when you face that, that hard part of the schedule, which is going to be telling to see if the Dolphins make it or not. The hard part I mentioned, I'm talking about the Green Bay game at Lambeau. I'm talking about that Houston Texans game. You have 2 against the Jets. It's hard to sweep a division opponent, even though they look god awful, but it's still hard to beat them twice, right? The Cleveland Browns, they're a little bit shaky, but the San Francisco 49ers, you're going to have to put together things that you saw in today's game against good teams like that, being able to manage the clock. And, man, the Dolphins, I mean, absolutely awesome stuff, man. Anthony Weaver, again, holds another team in the first half to under 7 points. The Raiders having 6. I mentioned that on a couple shows before, man. He continues to dial it up. And let's just take a look at the box score here, man. I mean, you saw some great stuff. So Tua ended up 28 for 36. Absolutely love that. With 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, by the way. I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome to see. 3 touchdowns for Tua. When's the last time we saw that? Gardner Minshew on the other side, 30 for 43 for 282 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. But back to the Dolphins. Devon Achane, 17 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. Love to see that. Jalen Wright, 5 carries for 4 yards. Not too much of a game that I expected out of Wright. I thought he would be a little bit more efficient. Even though he only has 5 carries, I expect those 5 carries to have like 20 yards. But nonetheless, Dolphins did what they had to do. Jonnu Smith, as I mentioned, finishing with 6 catches for 101 yards. That big, touchdown at the end. Tua buying time, absolutely hitting it right to Jonnu Smith. I mean, the Raiders playing cover 0, right? And it didn't go to Tyreek. It was a wide open Jonnu Smith, 57 yards for the touchdown. Love to see that. Tyreek Hill with the 7 catches for 61 yards and a touchdown. 8 targets, catching 7 of them. Like I mentioned, I mean, some big third downs from Tyreek Hill. Absolutely, salute to the cheetah, man. Jalen Waddle, as I mentioned, not too involved, but nonetheless, he did get some action. 2 catches for 37 yards, majority of those being early. He did get called. Defender on him, Tua was trying to hit him on 3rd down, got called for a defensive pass interference on the Raiders side. So Waddle put some pressure there. That's a stat that doesn't get accounted for, but, shout out to Waddle because that extended that drive, getting us that 1st down to put the game away ultimately. Julian Hill, 2 catches for 28 yards. Odell Beckham, he got some action, man. 4 targets, 2 catches for 13. They tried to hit him with a goal line fade route. I absolutely wanted that. Tua overthrew him a bit, man. I really wish that he kind of hit him on that to see what Odell Beckham can do in the end zone, see if he can still moss a couple guys. But nonetheless, man, Malik Washington, I thought he was active in today's game as well. Tua did lose a fumble, by the way, which you don't like to see that. Jordan Brooks on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he was everywhere, man. 12 total tackles, tackle for a loss as well. Him and Anthony Walker were just dialing it up. Jalen Ramsey, man, 2 pass deflections and that interception late in the game. Jalen Ramsey was absolutely everywhere. Kader Kohu, though, man, you see the 5 total tackles, but Jesus, man. I mean, how does he not get that open field tackle? Like, what are you doing? Keep the guy in front of you. It's all about fundamentals at this point. God forbid we still won the game, but I mean, something disastrous could have happened with the way that the things have been going in this Dolphins season. So Kohu, man, you can't make mistakes like that. They're key fundamental mistakes. I mean, they teach you this when you're growing up playing this football game that we all love. Jesus. Zach Sealer, 2 quarterback hits, 4 total tackles, and a sack. Tackle for a loss in there. I mean, he continues to just dominate in the inside. Calais Campbell also with a sack, a tackle for a loss, 2 total tackles, a QB hit, man. Calais Campbell, another guy, almost blocked the punt, got called for a flag on that. But Calais Campbell continues to be a guy who is a veteran, but is just establishing his presence week in and week out. He's been a key piece to this Dolphins season, man. Zach Sealer and Calais, those 2 guys, man. I mean, huge shout out to them. The Raiders, though. I mean, Brock Bowers, 13 catches for 126 yards and a touchdown, 16 targets. What are we doing? I mean, this is the only guy that can beat us, and he continues to get these catches. I was wondering at some point in the game throughout the first half, I said, we got to stick Ramsey on him for the rest of the second half because he's the only guy that can beat us. And he's the only guy that kind of made this a game, man. 126 yards to a tight end. The Dolphins haven't allowed a big game to a tight end in quite some time. Remember, that was always the thing. There was a point in time where the Dolphins could not freaking stop tight ends. And then we kind of started trending in the right direction where we're kind of stopping these tight ends here and there. But Brock Bowers, I mean, oh boy, 126. I mean, we can't have that. We cannot have that. That is not good. I definitely don't like to see that. But he's a hell of a player, hell of a young player. But yeah, definitely don't like to see that. We have to clean that up. I thought the defense, even though, we had, a turnover here and there, you had some sacks. I still think that this defense, gave up a lot of yards, playing a lot of cushion and just giving up just easy stuff to Brock Bowers. I think we should have shut this team out a little bit, probably hold them to under 14 at least. I mean, the Raiders are not that good of a football team to come into our house and put up 19 points. I mean, granted, we still got 30 plus and we got the win, but hey, I'm just calling it how I see it. I think that this team is mid. And if we've been putting up, good dominant performances against other teams, you want to see them clean that up. Let's look at the team stats real quick here. So Tua, the Dolphins offense having 271 yards. The Dolphins are on the right side of the column. Raiders are on the left. I mentioned third down efficiency. You see what I mean? The Raiders 8 for 14 and 2 for 2 on fourth down. I mean, those are things where I feel like I said, the defense, to me, they gave up a lot. I thought they should have had a bigger performance, a better performance. I mean, they did some good things, but allowing a Raiders team to get 8 third downs on you and 2 for 2 on fourth down is inexcusable. And then you're giving up 120 plus to a tight end. Definitely don't like to see that. Hopefully the Dolphins clean that up. The Dolphins, on the other hand, did the same thing. They converted for 8 third downs, 2 for 2 on fourth downs. Absolutely, like I mentioned, Tyreek Hill was huge on third down today. I thought that was freaking awesome to see. The Dolphins also no turnovers. That is something to mention, something to highlight. No turnovers. The Dolphins were not beating themselves this game. Obviously, the fumble from Tua, but he was able to recover, that I mentioned earlier. Just high IQ, high-level IQ football was played today, taking what the defense gives you, not turning the ball over, and just capitalizing, taking what's out in front of you there, taking the little things, and then ultimately hitting your home run shot to end up being the dagger for the win to Jonnu Smith. 4 penalties from the Dolphins. They cleaned things up, only allowing 23 yards. Anytime where you're able to get less than 5 penalties in a game, I think that is a huge thumbs up. You're used to seeing the Dolphins pick up 7, 8 turnovers and sometimes even more. So the fact that they only gave up 23 yards on penalties shows a lack of preparation, good preparation, good discipline out there. And that these are things when I'm talking about habits, right? Not turning the ball over, not being penalized for stupid penalties, and also dominating time of possession, right? These are 3 things that you want to continue to build on if you want to be the team to ultimately get to the playoffs and make some noise. Obviously, we're still 4-6, so we're still climbing our way up from a very, steep hole here. But still, the Dolphins building good habits, 33 minutes time of possession versus 26 of the Raiders. Like I mentioned, I thought that was key. And there you have it. Dolphins putting up over 30 points for the first time in a long time. I mean, it feels good. 34-19. As I mentioned, there's still things that I would like the Dolphins to clean up. I think they will. But at the end of the day, I still think this is a huge positive, probably the most positive win that the Dolphins have had this season, and that Dolphin fans like myself and you guys watching, you guys should be excited, man. There are plenty of things to take away from, plenty of positive things. Now you're going to start to build, right? Let's see if the Dolphins could string this on to 3 games in a row. You've won 2. You're taking it week by week. Now 4-6, second place in the division. Watch out for those other teams. Watch out for Denver. Watch out for Cincinnati. Watch out for the Chargers. Those are the teams we're kind of battling with, and the Indianapolis Colts as far as playoffs go. So keep an eye on those teams, but enjoy this one. It's a 2-game winning streak. It's been a freaking stressful season, Dolphin fans, but the Dolphins win this one 34-19. Listen, next week you got New England at home. Absolutely winnable game, even though Drake May looks good. It's not going to be an easy game. We're not playing Jacoby Brissett like we did earlier this season. So we got our work cut out for us, but we're at home. It's a team that's not well coached in New England, but we'll talk about that on the live stream on Tuesday for the preview show. Make sure you tune in, hit the thumbs up button to support the channel, like button, subscribe if you haven't. Let me know your thoughts down below on how you feel about the Dolphins. Listen, I'm excited. All right. I'm not going to be over here saying, hey, we should. No, I'm going to be excited. My team won 2 games in a freaking row, and I think you should be excited as well. Dolphins win this one 34-19, finally putting up over 30 points. Tua, a great game from you, my man. If I'm very critical to you, I'm going to tip my cap when you do a great job, and you absolutely did it today. Dolphins win 34-19, 2-game winning streak. New England next week. I'll see you guys for the preview stream against the Patriots on Tuesday. Fins up.